All right, welcome back. We proceed with this morning show right here on Good Morning Kenya. Thank you so much for sticking with us right here on KBC Channel 1. My name is Aguko, and you're just now for the next conversation of the day. But before we head over to this particular discussion, I want us to head over to the coastal region where we are expecting the president to have a few visits in Mombasa. And we just want to head over to our colleague, none other than Junde Karisa, who is on standby on location to give us more about what is happening there. All right, we shall be able to do that in a bit once that time is ready. Okay, and as you can see on your screen, that is my guest, that is joining me today right here on Good Morning Kenya. And of course, we want to talk about matters concerning tech right here. She is joining me today from STEAMLabs Africa. Karibu sana. How are you feeling, my dear?
I'm doing quite well.
Uko salama sana?
Salama kabisa.
Thank you so much. And of course, she is known as Afandi Indiatsi.
Indiatsi, yes.
Yes.
You pronounce it well.
Indiatsi.
Yes.
I pronounce it well.
Yes. Joe Manje.
Thank you so much, Afandi, for coming.
Thank you.
First things first, let's talk about matters concerning STEAMLabs Africa, because you're the director there.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us more about what it is all about.
Okay. Just a correction. I'm the director of student and school programs.
Students?
Yes.
Okay.
So, just going back on what STEAMLabs is about, we are a social enterprise that deals with igniting young minds, that is students in K-12 spaces, on the different fourth industrial revolution technologies. We're talking about robotics, artificial intelligence, and so we're trying to bridge that gap that is there, that is within the classroom setup and what is happening in the industry. So we are bridging that gap by starting with the younger students. So my role as a director of students and schools programs is to ensure that the operations of these programs in schools and for students directly are running smoothly, ensuring that whatever is being delivered to the students in the schools is what is actually happening in the real world. We don't want to be using obsolete technologies to train upcoming generations. Yeah.
Okay. And even as talk about matters concerning innovation in primary and secondary, that's a very good idea.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you're trying to look into the future. Actually, we are living in the future today.
Yeah.
Do you feel like as a country we have gotten to that point where we need to have such kind of innovation being taught in our schools and even being included in the KBC?
Yes, very much. That is something that should be adopted very, very fast. The global world, if we just leave even Kenya, if you think about it, Africa has been considered the Silicon Savannah. That means if you compare it to the Silicon Valley, everything is happening in Africa. Every technical operation, startups are coming up from Africa that are being recognized globally. And if we don't adopt that as soon as possible in Kenya, we'll be left behind in the trends that are upcoming. You find things to do with blockchain, things to do with gaming. People are earning money from this. Young adults are earning money from this at a very young stage. This is what is developing different countries. This is what is growing the economy. And this is what is making businesses operate at a faster rate than others. If you think about data analytics, doing predictions, doing detection analysis, and just reducing the workforce, the pressure in the workforce industry, that is something that we need to adopt as soon as possible. As we have our students moving into the real world from school, they will not struggle to adopt but they will just be moving swiftly. Yeah.
And if you look at that particular move as a nation, will that transition be a smooth one? Will we embrace that particular transition?
That transition is not smooth at all. I will give you an example. So at STEAMLabs, we also train educators, because we can't train students and then leave the educators aside. We need to bridge that as well.
Actually, you need to start with the educators first,
then go to the students.
And make them embrace it.
Exactly. But you find, we talk to educators about coding, and they really shy away from it because, oh my, this is something so new. This is something for the youngins, for the Generation Z. So it becomes very difficult to even help them understand why this is necessary. Sometimes they feel like this isn't even what I was trained to do in college, so why should I be part of it? It hasn't been easy. You even find when you're talking to parents and asking them, can you have your student taking part in this? And they're like, I don't want my child hacking my systems. But you see, coding isn't about hacking. Learning tech is not just about hacking, but this is a misconception that we've had. And
we will come there.
Yes.
We will come there. But now you're saying it's a hurdle.
Yeah.
It's going to be a struggle trying to make the educators themselves embrace it. They were taught with a chalk, and now they are trying to teach others with some computer.
Yes, with just one line, and trying to explain what that one line means to the student. Yeah.
Should we have more investments in regards to this, or should we just wait for these old folk to face off as we try to bring in a new team that is working? I don't know your thoughts in regards to that particular aspect of training of of these teachers.
I wouldn't say we need to wait for this old folk to just move. Then we bring in the new generation.
You bring in the new generation?
No. Change is inevitable. We have to embrace change. That is the problem. That is one thing that we as human beings have not been able to work well around. So whether you're old, whether you're young, you need to embrace change as it comes. So with the old folks, what we even try at STEAMLabs with educators is trying to make it more fun, because to be very honest, tech is very fun. You cannot confine technology into a classroom setup and think of it like an English class where we read set books and people are sleeping at the back waiting for their turn. No. You have to make it more fun, to make it interesting. So that is what we try with the old folk. And you find sometimes as we're doing these trainings, I guess it's something that the educators are used to. There's always an incentive that comes with the trainings that they so you find we are doing it out of free will, out of our own volition, but then there's someone somewhere who might not deploy whatever they're learning into the classroom because there wasn't any incentive that came with that. So I wouldn't say we wait for the old folk to just move. I would say we need to learn how to embrace the change. We need to see ahead, see further, and see why is this important, because the old folk are even in a better position to still stick within the industry.
So we need to work with what we have.
We need to work with what we have. As we're bringing new people, we still need to work with what we have.
Wow.
Yeah, because the tech, if you think about the tech industry is growing so fast. When I got into tech as a computer scientist, it was not the same as it is now. And it has grown very, very quickly. So even with the old folk, whatever they learn right now, it will still be used later on. We bring in the new generation of educators. They learn things, it will still be used. I don't think there's at any point it's going to be completely obsolete like in 3 days or 1 year. It will take time.
Now, someone may wonder, why is it necessary for us to have a conversation like this? Why is it necessary for us to talk about innovation in primary and secondary schools? Why this path?
I will try and give my experience with tech. I was very privileged to learn about technology at a very early stage. and I really enjoyed it. So getting even into secondary school and taking computer studies, it was a very smooth process.
You learned computer from
a very young,
age.
a very young stage, 4 years, 5 years. So getting into computer studies, getting into computer science, very smooth process. It wasn't, I did not struggle. I did not have the days I'm wondering what is happening in my class. So I cannot say it's just because I am a smart person. I know I am brilliant, but I wouldn't say that is the fact that helped. I would say it is the background that I had. And
what's that background? The
background in learning tech. So the fact that I was able to, if you think about it, in the early 2000s, learning about typing classes, hitting very high speeds of typing. I could do around 185 words per minute at the age of like 10 years.
Wow.
And that was very impressive when I got to high school and I learned people don't know how to do this.
They look for
they look for the letters one word at a time, and my educator was like, wow, you're really good at this. And I would say that is what helped, because even beyond learning about the typing skills, because that is what was high, that was what was the high for me then.
Yes.
Learning about the hardware of the computer, learning about how the computer runs, learning about just the technicality of it all, getting into a computer science class and you're asked to be a software engineer. It was easy for me to link these two. So I know what the hardware does. So I'm now linking the software to the hardware. And I would not say that that was just me being overachieving and everything, because right now you see students that we teach at STEAMLabs, it's the schools that we are impacting, the kind of projects that they come up with, the kind of ideas they develop. These are ideas that are solid. If they just get more skills, more training, these are ideas that can just be put into the world and help completely. We are very big on SDGs, and I feel like the young world, we have very much what we are coming up with, even the ideas, the solutions that we come up with, we need to have solutions that also cater for the young world, not just for the senior groups. If younger generations, because we cannot just say this is Generation Z. Generation Z has very much given everyone character development. They are another breed. They are a very complete, different breed, and we cannot just dismiss them. But we need to figure out how we can accommodate them, and we need to accommodate them by looking at what they have in their minds. And investing in what they have in their minds. So that is your background. And you realized how important it is for you personally, because it was an interest. But for someone else, still I ask, why is it necessary for us to talk about innovation in schools, in our institutions of learning? Still, I want to find out, why should someone watching us today say, this is something I need to invest in for my child? So we talk, we're called STEAMLabs Africa. So we mean that is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. STEAM is not just about the classroom setup, it's not just about technology, but we tend to call it a STEAM experience. And by that, what we mean, it's the problem-solving process. There is nowhere in the world that you will go where you don't need the problem-solving skills. You need to identify a problem. Like, let's take, for example, with mathematics, those questions that we used to have. Maria was given 30 oranges, and someone took 2, how many does she have left? These, however much some of these problems used to sound a bit impractical, we might find some of these problems in the real world. And we need to find a way to solve them. What process are we deploying? What product are we coming up with to solve the problem? What is the solution generally? And if you put the fact of the concept of STEAM, the concept of technology, of engineering, all together in this problem-solving process, that is what makes things different. Because that is what is being used in the world.
So let me get it from you. So you've managed to reach out to schools I want to understand now how you've managed to do it so far, and the stages that you've managed to get to as at now.
Okay. So our director at STEAMLabs has very much worked with educators, and it was so easy for him to have educators on board. The educators who are interested, definitely in a group you might find there are people who see ahead, and there are those people who do not see the need of me doing this.
All right, yes, so we proceed with this morning show, and of course, yes, we are live right here on Good Morning Kenya. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We just come from that short break, and we proceed with this conversation right here in matters concerning innovation in our primary and secondary schools. And I am with Afandi, Indiatsi. Thank you so much for sticking with us and for still being here today. Afandi, before we took that break and before we went to Mombasa, we were talking about the outreach of STEAMLabs, okay? Yeah. STEAMLabs Africa. Yeah. And let me allow you to proceed from where you left off and also touch on the number of schools that you've managed to get a hold of or to grab as at now.
Okay. So the outreach is we try to get educators first, because once educators see that whatever we are doing is important for the operations of the schools, it's easier for the schools to adopt the concepts of STEAM, the innovation activities and all the programs that we are participating in. So I'll talk about, for example, like with innovation hubs. So innovation hubs are like maker spaces. You educate the students on what to do, and then you give them a room, or just a room that is equipped with different devices on different sectors. Ask them to come up with a solution to solve a specific problem, and with the ideas that they have, they use the concepts that they've learned in class or in other activities to implement this. So we've come up with an innovation hub at Crawford International Schools. It's called GoLab, and this is somewhere that all these activities happen. In the same context, we've also hosted a game jam that was last year at Crawford, and the game jam introduced students to gaming and robotics and all those activities. We also hosted Climate Change Day, and we had panelists where the students were actually the ones who are hosting them. Even with the game jam, we were just helping them, but then they were hosting it, so they even get the feel and the ground experience of being a leader, of being someone who's organizing this and that. And it was very amazing seeing how they were coordinating everything, finding out if a speaker is coming in, if they're not, and how they're going to handle it, the events of the whole day. This week we're having Rusinga Day STEAM Week happening, Rusinga School STEAM Week happening from Monday to Friday. So the students are just dealing with innovation this whole week, and we'll be dealing with AI and game and IoT, Internet of Things. So they'll be introduced to different concepts. They get to understand all this and just see what exactly is out there, so that they can gain further interest in the innovation. Our outreach also, we deal with STEAM clubs. So we set up clubs in different schools, and we like clubs is not supposed to be a classroom activity, to be confined within the class. Yes, like music club and all, just let the students think on their own. So that is what we do with the STEAM clubs. We introduce a theme and then allow the students to take part in the whole problem solving process throughout the term.
And so you bring in innovation and tech.
Yes.
In all these events.
All this is done with innovation and tech.
Okay.
Yes.
One thing that you I've seen you handle these matters concerning coding. You mentioned that earlier. Coding. Yeah. Tell us what coding is. You do robotics also, and I don't know, you mentioned a word IoT. IoT. I don't know where that also comes in the mix here. I'm still getting to learn that. What is coding?
Coding is more or less the same as programming. So it's where you introduce instructions to a computer to perform activities.
Okay.
So you want a computing device to perform this specific activity, you bring in instructions that you code using specific programming languages that exist. And the language that the computer processes isn't the language that we speak. So we have to use different languages.
And you're teaching these students the language of the computer?
Yes.
I believe it's the ones and the zeros. Is that the language?
More or less.
More or less?
Yeah. Yes, there are different programming languages that come up very fast. So we have things like Python. Don't know if you've ever heard of it. Python,
I've heard of it. I've heard of Python.
C++. Yes. And they all perform different rules. They do not, you cannot, it's a bit hard for you to say, I want to create a Python system using C++. They might not achieve the same purpose. You might find some of them, this is bulky for this language, so we need to figure out why we need to use Python for this system, why C++ cannot achieve what Python does. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I was not far from Canaan.
You are not far. Ulikuwa karibu. Yes.
What about robotics?
So robotics, once again, coding is the foundation of all these activities. AI, IoT, this is the basic. Like I've
there goes the word again, IoT again.
IoT, yes. So we have coding, and as I have mentioned, you introduce instructions using the language of the computer for it to perform a specific activity. Think about robots that help clean the dishes, the utensils. You just need to, as a user who's using the robot, I just need to say clean 20 hours a day or 5 hours a day, and the robot will do its thing. But then the software that was built, these instructions had to be put, and these instructions were put using programming.
Okay, I get you.
These instructions are put using programming. Then we have the hardware. The hardware is what we see.
Okay.
Everything that is encapsulating the software and everything. So we get to see something that is compounded and very simple. But what happens
complexities.
It is very complex. It is very complex. This is also same to Internet of Things. Internet of Things is whereby everything is connected to the internet. We don't mean just phones being connected to the internet. So everything is connected to the internet, and they communicate with each other through the internet. This is not social media, it's different. Let's have a situation where your phone is connected to the cameras that we are having here. From the word go, you can decide from the directors.
To control the cameras from my phone.
When you're ready, you can have the cameras switch on. When you're not ready, you can have them on standby, go on break as we have done.
Just at one tap.
With one tap. But all these devices are connected on the internet. They communicate over the internet. And the basic, the foundation is programming. For this to happen, programming has to happen.
And are children able to understand all these things?
We thank,
from your experience,
we thank technology very much, because with the growth in technology, different software are coming up that help to reduce the complexities for the students. So you find, because at STEAMLabs we work with students for as low as 4 years old. So we have software that can reduce these complexities, and the students understand it very fast. You find there are games that students are able to do, and once they are done with that, they understand the basic part of the programming. So when it gets to the language part, they're like, smooth walk.
Afandi, I want us to bring this conversation to a close. There's so many things we can touch on. How the advantages of involving innovation in schools and so many things. But just to wrap it up, with just one nice note and a cherry at the top. Speak to Kenyans watching you today. Your final word, even as you let us know about the future of education when it comes to AI or tech.
So generally what I would say is we should not dismiss the fact that technology is becoming a reality. This is something we need to accept. It is happening, and we need to move very fast. We need to progress as the world progresses. We don't want to be left behind. So I would urge Kenyans, take part in these activities, involve your children in these activities, involve the schools that you are leading, that you're heading in these activities, because we don't want to have any student left behind. We don't want anyone being left behind. You can check out our work at STEAMLabs on our social media pages. We are STEAMLabs, and also on our website, STEAMLabsAfrica.com, and you can learn about what we do and also why it is important for these activities to be adopted.
All right. Thank you so much. That is Afandi Indiatsi, Director Schools and Students Program at STEAMLabs Africa. And that is what brings us to the end of this morning conversation right here on Good Morning Kenya. My name is Aguko, but we still have more coming up your way. Doreen Arange is coming up next right here on Good Morning Kenya. Let's take a short break. We'll be back in a bit.